Hello, greetings, and welcome everyone. I am Jeff the Christian Gamer. This video is basically a quick interview that we did with Chris, the co-CEO of Aptera. He is an awesome individual and was kind enough to let us ask a few questions. It was myself and a few other curious parties, essentially. So I'm going to go through this video and essentially I'm gonna have it unedited except for a couple of the questions at the beginning. We are going to have a bit of a question summary because it was just easier to summarize the question instead of trying to magnify the questions themselves, and yeah, it just was not working with editing. So here we are. I am about to start the video. Hope you enjoy. If you like this video, like and or subscribe. And yeah, enjoy.
We literally made clay models of that and then modeled it into a NURB 3D model. And then we handed that to NASA Langley because we thought they were the smartest aerodynamic engineers ever. So we paid, our first big check we wrote was $15,000 to NASA Langley to do the aerodynamic study on this vehicle.
Did they do a wind tunnel study?
They did, so a digital wind tunnel.
Digital wind tunnel.
Yeah. So they did the computational fluid dynamics and they called us up and they were like, there's something wrong with our aerodynamic simulation here. We think we need to talk through. And basically we had 8 NASA engineers on the phone and we had to explain to them what ground effect is, the high pressure zone that's created in front of the vehicle,
right,
and how on the ground that high pressure has nowhere to go. In the air, in a missile or an airplane, you don't have to worry about that because there's no deflection point. So, we felt we got our money's worth because we had to explain to these NASA engineers, and we realized then that if NASA can't help you make a more aerodynamic vehicle, no one can. So we built the largest supercomputing cluster on the West Coast, one of the largest supercomputing clusters on the West Coast, just to do our own proprietary computational fluid dynamics. And all the original aerodynamics was done in-house. And now when we restarted the company, we're able to just buy Amazon Web Services server time. And we're able to do simulations in like 4 hours now. We can do generative simulations in like 12 hours, where you go through like 1,000 iterations of shape changes to optimize the shape. And that's what we did on the wheel pants. Those have been through thousands and thousands of iterations of computational fluid dynamics, where you push the surfaces, see if it gets more drag or less drag, and just keeps changing all the surfaces until it finds a very optimal shape for those wheel pants.
Have you documented this story? Is it written down somewhere?
It's in my head.
Oh, okay. How do you get originally the shape of it into the computer? Is there like a laser scan that goes through it?
So we knew we wanted a cambered body. We didn't know how that would work with kind of outboard wheels or not. So we made a clay model, and then we had a modeler physically look at the model and then put in the computer what he thought it would look like. And that was kind of the first turd of a model we had that we, pushed and pulled and made good enough to send to NASA Langley. After that, we put it into CAD, and then that was what we put into the computational fluid dynamics simulation, and then we just pushed and pulled until we ended up with this.
Is that the console we're coming with? Will we have a choice of consoles?
We're working with aftermarket manufacturers to make the 3 different segments of the console. You got like rear storage, center storage, front storage, and we hope that we'll have aftermarket suppliers supply different versions of that. So maybe you want it in black or blue, or recycled pineapple leather. Maybe you want an inductive charger in the front for 1 phone or 2 phones. Maybe you want 4 cup holders, not 2. All those are just easily replaced. You can put anything you want.
How about just a big old plastic console, traditional, the kind that Jason Hill makes?
Yeah. The center console base in there is hemp now, but it could be plastic or carbon fiber or anything that you want it.
We want to sit on top of it.
Yep. It'll all just sit on there. There'll be 2 bolts, and that'll be it.
How many other carbon fiber EVs are there?
0.
Okay. And how many other cars are there with solar?
There's a company in the Netherlands developing a solar sedan, but it's $250,000.
Oh, it's a light.
A light year. There's a company in Germany developing kind of a solar smart car, but it's only made for the European market, and they're kind of on the same timeline here. We're the only vehicle at all that's focused on efficiency, and we're obviously the only one that we think is making good use of solar power, which is design an efficient vehicle first, then it makes solar possible. If you put solar on a shit-tin vehicle that's a rolling brick down the road, you're going to be burning 500 watt hours per mile. It doesn't matter how much solar you put on top. If you put this same solar setup on my Tesla Model S, you get like 6 miles a day of solar charging. With this, you get 40.
Do you have a way of keeping the dust from reducing the solar efficiency? That's a problem with solar panels out in,
luckily, you can reach everything on this vehicle, so just a regular rag. Dust will lower your solar capability, but it has to be really dirty to knock it down by 20%. So as long as you can keep it reasonably. Oh well, that's
This isn't Mars. Sure. They can go and wash the car here.
Yeah.
Chuck Walla. Now, the car that was beside the Beta, that was an Audi R8.
Yes.
And it was keeping up with that.
Yeah. We beat the Audi R8.
Oh, what's the maximum velocity?
110 miles an hour top speed, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
Wow. And is that in a class of its own in terms of acceleration?
No, I mean, there's lots of kind of electric vehicles that do that now because you can really put the power down. But we have 150 kilowatt max. And with a very small drive system, we're able to do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. So that's because we're lightweight and very aerodynamic.
3.5 is coming from 250 mile the battery pack, or there's some
The
other?
400 mile range.
Oh, okay.
It'll be a little slower with the heavy battery pack.
Right,
It'll be a little faster with the smaller battery pack.
Why did you choose to use a Reg A to raise the financing? Is there something about a Reg A?
I thought that the public would really appreciate our focus on first principles engineering. I figured people would invest in that. Taking our business plan to Silicon Valley and trying to get people to Sand Hill Road invest in us seemed like a battle that I did not want to fight early on. I'm not independently wealthy. So it seemed like the Reg A was just a perfect fit.
Are you happy
invest
with how
$100 at a time and you're in. Now it's $1,000 at a time. But
okay, has it worked out the way that you wanted to?
we raised $50 million from the crowd. We have 12,000 investors. Those investors are obviously ambassadors too. They're telling our story because they want their investment to go well.
Yes.
And we raised $20 million from private investors from 3 different VCs and a bunch of family offices and stuff too.
Okay, so that's the 70 million. Okay, and that's not Reg A, so you still have more, 25 million left to the cap.
It's a rolling 12-month, $75 million cap. So we can probably raise another $45 million easily, and then over time we could probably raise another 60 or 70 million.
And what are you looking for now in terms of the financing that comes in?
Marathon is representing us as our investment bank. They're the largest clean tech investment bank in the U.S. They're shopping a $150 million deal.
Okay, at what valuation?
At an $858 million valuation.
Okay, and I heard that you were looking for 30.
Well, we know that we have expenditures over the next few months that we definitely want to spend. We just got the CEC loan for $22 million. We have to match that with $26 million. So if we can find somebody to invest.
In escrow?
No, it's we spend it, they reimburse it type deal.
Oh,
so
okay.
We spend $100, they reimburse us $40.
CC loan.
Equity, debt, or
Just
combination?
cash. So we can either it could be debt. We just have to spend it.
Okay, equity or debt.
Yeah.
And is there
Could be
a time,
convertible debt, too.
Is there a time that you have to hit that and have that and say, here it is, here's proof of funds?
We are giving the CEC a funding plan next month, and then we'll have to spend according to that funding plan. It doesn't have to happen all at once. The program is it's over a year-long program. So basically, if you break the money into quarters, $5 million a month.
Okay.
So what they would reimburse. Yes. So we spend $10 million, they reimburse $4 of it.
And then there's that new bill that we were just talking about a minute ago. Is there any money in that for you?
Maybe.
Okay.
There's a lot of proportion funds that are to incentivize EV and EV technologies, but it would be another proposal process. Like we proposed, like the CEC came out and said, we're taking submissions for this grant. We applied like 3 months ago and they approved us. Now we get to go through it. So it would be a process. I can't imagine we'd have any of that federal money in the next 6 months.
Can I ask
Yes.
where efforts stand with getting included in the $7,500 EV tax credit? How's that going?
Unfortunately, no EV in this building qualifies for that EV tax credit now. We hope that because nobody qualifies, that the politicians come to their senses and say, this money was meant to incentivize clean technologies, and it's not. So how do we broaden the program? And hopefully when they broaden the program, it includes companies like us.
What is the issue then?
why you cannot pull one?
You have to have 40% domestic content in your battery pack to qualify. So no U.S. automotive manufacturer right now has a 40% American content in battery.
So where the battery coming from?
China.
Oh, I see.
All the raw materials for the anode and cathode material for batteries that are in U.S. EVs are coming from Asia. China.
What about with regards to it being a three-wheel vehicle? Is that an issue still, or is that maybe?
It could be an issue, but we hope that when they broaden the language, companies like us and Arcimoto and Solo and Electromechanic, those companies get included in that legislation.
Looking at the Aptera, especially being a solar vehicle, the only solar vehicle, it doesn't make sense that you guys are not included, honestly. So
we de-stress the grid. So if America wants more electric vehicles on the road, that's going to come with lots of grid stress. Solar electric vehicles exist in their own plane. They don't stress the grid. You don't plug them in for your average daily driving needs. You don't have to plug it in at all. The average American driving a combustion vehicle is spending over $5,000 a year on fuel. If you could change to a solar-powered electric vehicle like this, your fuel costs will go down to zero. The entry cost for this vehicle is $25,900. You have less than a 5-year payback just on the fuel, and you still own an Aptera. So
Your price point is really good.
yes.
Yeah. So what about the targeted market? Because in North America, so some area, so the sunlight is quite not enough.
Oddly, in Southern California, you get over 40 miles a day of solar charge range. That equates to about 11,000 miles of free driving a year.
Right.
Up in dreary places like Seattle, you still get like 8,500 miles of free driving a year. So you have longer summer days in northern latitudes, but shorter winter days. So in the winter, your daily driving needs, may get a little more fickle. But in the summer, you actually get more energy. So on average, over a year, it's actually not that bad in places like New York, Seattle, compared to down here. It's 15-20% less power. But
you guys be able to charge on the DC charge, fast charge network?
yes,
Okay.
it will be an option. You'll have to buy the option. But
You were looking at trying to get the Tesla plug. What are you doing for your power? Are you doing CCS?
We feel that the Tesla charge plug is just superior engineering. It's compact. It does 350 kilowatts. It's simple. It's the most ubiquitous in the nation. 3/4 of the electric vehicles on the road are using Tesla's plug now. We think that if the government is investing in charging infrastructure, they should invest in Tesla's charging infrastructure. So for now, we have the Tesla charge plug standard. We hope that will be ubiquitous for us and something that we can, go into full volume.
Have you tried to hook up with Tesla itself so you can use
as
a customer?
Yes.
Chris, so the Tesla connector can do 350 kilowatt on their infrastructure, but this vehicle, the base model, is only planned for 50 kilowatt, correct?
The most that we'll ever let this vehicle charge is at 1C. So if you have the 60 kilowatt hour pack, it'll do 60 kilowatts.
Okay.
If it's a 100 kilowatt
So
hour pack.
with the base model, charging at 50 kilowatt is actually pretty competitive in terms of like stop, fill from 20 to 80 and go with an ICE vehicle. Will you be? I guess my question is: Are you increasing the charging rate with the bigger batteries to keep that competitive timing?
Probably not, because those components get very expensive and heavy.
Yeah,
and you have to carry those components with you all the time.
Would silicon carbide coming onto the market and making those more efficient components more affordable and lighter sometime in the future?
We had to
make that
design our
possible?
own silicon carbide inverter, and it's very sophisticated tech. I don't know when that's going to bleed over to the DC to DC converters and charging tech, but hopefully in the next 5 years, we have a much different supply chain when it comes to that stuff. Yeah.
Something you guys were doing that I thought was pretty amazing was some of the college tours. Any plans of taking that national?
Yes, definitely. We'll have a production intent design by the end of the year, and hopefully then we'll start building those production intent designs, and we'll want to show those off around the nation and around the world. We have a lot of people that want to support our solar mobility dreams, and taking them to states where they may have incentives for us will inspire the politicians and people in that state to support us. So we'll try to
go international.
We'll try to be as omnipresent as possible.
Right. So
You're planning to go international. Like I'm.
Yeah, we want to ship.
I'd love to have your car.
We want to ship internationally as soon as possible. So, part of our right to repair mentality is you don't have to ship this to a place that has a service agent. We will take care of you, even if you're in the middle of Australia. Yeah. You got plenty of sun in the outback. We would love to have a solar-powered vehicle, but if you need a part, we'll ship it to you in 24 hours. We'll give you the documentation on how to fix the part. We'll hopefully make a video so you can scan a QR code and watch the video on how to fix it yourself, or hire a mechanic to come over and fix it for you. If it's under warranty, we'll pay the mechanic. If it's not, you pay the mechanic, but it's a way to keep Apteras on the... right now, we haven't published warranty specs yet, so I won't spell it. It will be healthy and competitive with the rest of them.
I noticed that there are no solar cells on the hood. Is that a change, or is
this back here is a sample of the solar panel that you can option up for on the hood.
And solar windscreen, is that a possibility?
Solar windscreen?
Yeah.
Like when you're parked?
Yeah, the shade. Solar shade.
Possible, not likely.
Okay.
We'll wait for the aftermarket, guys.
What international markets are you most excited about?
Germany and Spain.
Okay. Germany because of the subsidies, and Spain because of the sun?
Because we have the most fans in Germany and Spain.
from the investment point of view?
From a pre-order point of view.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So what's the coolest part about the vehicle that you don't get to talk about that much?
I think the coolest part of the vehicle is the cooling system. To have a vehicle that doesn't have a radiator that air flows through, but the radiator is the body, is I think a thing that most people miss. If you walk around the show and see any other electric vehicles, you see big air inlets in the front. That's because they're pulling air through a radiator. If we had to pull air through a radiator in the front of the Aptera, it would be twice the aerodynamic drag. So we solved that by having skin cooling, and that's what provides the cooling for all the systems on the vehicle. But it's not something that you see. So unless somebody tells you, like, hey, the belly pan's a radiator, so we don't get to talk about it much. But I think it's something we patented. I think it's really cool, and it helps us stay with our super aerodynamic ethos.
That's good. So the battery is cooled by air or the coolant cooler?
It has a fluid cooled loop. We are testing to see whether we can have some variants of our battery pack be just air cooled. We're less abusive to the battery pack because we draw less power because we have a much smaller drivetrain package. So these other EVs out here, they can have 600, 400 kilowatt peaks from their battery pack. Our peak is 150 kilowatts, so we don't take a lot out of our battery.
Another question: are you guys going to offer your own financing?
We are talking with several people about how to offer financing, and what we would love to have is a subscription. So you purchase the Aptera, and it comes with the vehicle, the insurance, and all the power you can ever use. So we'll give you a card to go to like charge stations and stuff. But obviously, most of the power is going to come from the solar, anyways. But we're working with some finance partners.
Thank you.
We're working with some finance partners around the world, and we don't know how that's going to come together, but I think it's an exciting proposition to be able to.
We're going to run down Sarah, and then we're going to catch you on the weekend.
Oh, it's great to meet you, sir.
And then we'll set this up later.
Awesome.
You're less busy.
Yeah.
Superb.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, thank you, sir.
You're doing good. We're waiting for
Chris,
it.
can I have your LinkedIn maybe that I can get in touch with you?
Google Chris Anthony Aptera, I guarantee you'll find it.
Well, you guys have a YouTube channel?